Hi, and welcome to the golden years of Hollywood. Well, in 1935, Spencer Tracy left Fox Studios to begin his long and successful career at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. The first couple of films that he made there were not that memorable, but the following year, 1936, he made two of his finest films, San Francisco and Fury. And it's Fury that I want to discuss today. It's a powerful film about mob violence and its consequences. Fritz Lang was a famous German film director who had made the silent masterpiece Metropolis. In 1935, he escaped Germany and the Nazis and arrived in the US, where he was offered a contract by MGM. Now, Fury was his first American film, and it went into production under the title Mob Rule. The plot revolves around a young man, which is played by Tracy, who's wrongfully arrested as a suspect in a kidnapping and murder case whilst he's passing through a small town. Locked up and awaiting trial, a lynch mob arrives and burns down the jail. Now, assumed to be dead, Tracy's character escapes and goes into hiding and seeks revenge upon those involved.
Joe! I'm burned to death by a mob of animals. I'm legally dead and they're legally murderers. That I'm alive is not their fault. But I know them. I know a lot of them. And they'll hang for it. According to the law, which says if you kill somebody, you gotta be killed yourself.
The leaders of the mob are brought to justice and are convicted of murder, but just as the death sentence is about to be pronounced, Tracy walks into the courtroom and delivers a memorable speech about lynch law and compassion.
Go on.
I know that by coming here I saved the lives of these 22 people. But that isn't why I'm here. I don't care anything about saving them. They're murderers. I know the law says they're not because I'm still alive, but that's not their fault. And the law doesn't know that a lot of things that were very important to me, silly things maybe, like a belief in justice and an idea that men were civilized and a feeling of pride that this country of mine was different from all others. The law doesn't know that those things were burned to death within me that night.
It's a fine performance from Tracy, showing a real switch in character, going from the nice, easygoing young man to an angry and vengeful victim who's willing to kill to see those responsible pay for their crimes. Now, surprisingly, he didn't get the top billing in this film. That went to Sylvia Sidney, who was a bigger star than Tracy at the time. And she plays Tracy's fiancée and does a fine job in the part, and actually took a pay cut for the chance to work with Fritz Lang, whom she really admired. Now, the production itself was far from smooth. Tracy and Lang grew to hate each other. The cinematographer, Joe Ruttenberg, said that they were fighting all the time. And see, the problem was Lang wanted multiple takes, whereas Tracy normally did only one or two takes. Also, Lang, coming from Germany and completely unaccustomed to working in a studio environment where meal breaks were dictated by law, he proceeded to direct without any meal breaks. Well, the crew started to grumble and they went to Spencer about it, who then called out, Mr. Lang, it's 1:30 and the fellows haven't had their lunch yet. To which the reply came back, on my set, Mr. Tracy, I will call lunch when I think it should be called. Well, upon hearing that, Spencer took his hand and brushed it all over his face, smearing the makeup, knowing full well that it would take a good half hour to fix it up. And Lang just glared at him, and after a pause, yelled, lunch, and walked off the set.
I want to see them squirm the way they made me. I want to see them at the end of a rope.
Upon its release, the critics raved about Fury, calling it a masterpiece, and it's still just as powerful today. But for Fritz Lang, that was the end of the road. For him, as far as MGM was concerned, he never made another film there, but he did go on to become a successful independent director, but he never worked with Spencer Tracy again. I'm David Duncan. Join me again next time for another classic film from the golden years of Hollywood.